everyone, and welcome to Tal Talks. This is our nightly November edition, and so I am here. Oh, I'm Tal, by the way, if you didn't know that. Hopefully you do. I am the entertainment coordinator for the Mass Run Fair, and I am here with a knight for nightly November. This is Sir David, and he is part of the Knights of Lord Talbot. Hi!
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's awesome to see you, and it's really nice that you were able to talk with us today because we are going to be talking all about knights.
Sounds
First, good. I noticed all those things in your background. They are so cool. Can you tell me what they are, what they represent?
Sure. As you see over in the far corner here, this is actually our English flag, which is of the 15th century.
Okay.
Then you'll see, of course, my shield and my suit of armor.
Yep.
You'll see here, this is the company insignia. So this is the actual Knights of Lord Talbot insignia. And then right over here, this is my family heritage, which is of the Duke and Duchess of Lincolnshire, England, which is actually part of my heritage.
That's really cool. And when is that from?
That is actually from the 12th and 13th century, but it's a little bit of history, so we like to have it in the encampment.
Wow. Most people don't know that far back in their histories, so that's pretty neat.
I was very fortunate that my family was able to do that.
So what is the lion on your crest for Lord Talbot?
That actually is his family heritage.
Okay, so that brings me to, who is Lord Talbot? I feel like everybody wants to know.
Lord Talbot is actually a chief commander of King Henry IV and King Henry V army in the 100-Year War. He was a major leader for a lot of the English offensives against the French. His main reputation was basically getting things done. He fought in the Battle of Agincourt, which is a major English offensive. He fought in a lot of the other battles. That's pretty much him. We represent his troop returning, or a division of his troops returning. Typically, the lord of a group, in this case, Lord Talbot, he either left the camps early to return home, or in our case, he was actually killed. So our group is returning with spoils from France, showing what life was like in the 15th century for a group returning.
Very cool. So for those of you that don't know, well, for starters, the Knights of Lord Talbot have been doing the Massachusetts Renaissance Fair since our very first event, which we were really grateful for. They were absolutely wonderful. They showed up, they had all the armor on, they did these fights, and they were just really wonderful to watch. And we were so happy that they were able to just come out and do everything and show us, what it actually looked like when people used to fight in armor. They do a lot of historic talks. They do cooking. They show us what things were like a long time ago, which is great for us because the Massachusetts Renaissance Fair does multiple events. And one of our events is the Market of the Moons, which is our fairy festival that shows up in different time periods and in different realms and disappears, and it brings people with them from all different time periods. And so for us, we get this wonderful group that comes and does demonstrations from a specific time period that most people don't really know that much about. And we're really grateful to have you pretty much every year.
Love being there. It's considered our home fair.
Yeah. Oh, we love it. So can you describe a little bit more about what you do at the Renaissance Fair?
Sure. While we're at Renaissance Fairs, we set up a full living history camp. What that means is we have various activities going on in the encampment, whether it's our pages and squires doing training, whether it is our camp followers helping us out with providing food. They'll be cooking over an open fire. They have herbs and various foods out for people to see what we actually would have been eating back in the time frame. We have our Lord or our commanding officer, Sir Jacques Fastoff, who will be holding biennial court. Basically, if you have a grievance against someone within the festival, you would come to us and we would basically hold court over it and tell people to resolve the issues. We'll grab our pages and squires and we'll have them pair off in doing training. You'll see us doing repairs on our armor, from anything from a simple minor equipment malfunction to, in some cases, getting a hold of the blacksmiths and having them reforge a piece for us. Fortunately, we haven't had that yet this year, but you never know. So we'll have that going on. We have people that will actually be doing fletching arrows as they did back in the 15th century. Wow. We'll have, like I said, you name it, we've got it. When you're in our encampment, you're more than welcome to pick up and try on pieces of armor. A lot of people are fascinated by how much the helmets weigh, which is about 16 pounds.
Oh my gosh. That sounds uncomfortable.
Believe it or not, when you have it on your full armor, you don't feel the weight.
Yeah, it's not like right on the top of your head, right? It kind of rests.
It kind of rests on your shoulders. But when you have your shoulder armor actually itself, and your helmet rests right on top of it, it kind of makes it easier for you to handle.
So let's talk about your armor a little bit more. For starters, where do you get all that stuff? Like, where does it come from? You're not going to be like, Amazon.com over here,
No, unfortunately, Amazon does not provide us with what we refer to as combat grade weapons or combat grade armor. We deal with specific armorers over in the UK. So they custom build all the armor to our specifications.
And you mentioned a blacksmith if something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm. We've had blacksmiths have to do some minor repairs or fabricate a piece for us from here time or time. Then mostly it's on our shields. The handles have the tendency to break right off.
Do you have local blacksmiths that you're friends with that you know that?
Yep. We have several local blacksmiths, and for the 2021 season, we actually have one that will be traveling with us.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. So when you're in all that armor, first off, it's really hot at our festival. How do you do it? Like, how do you wear that whole thing? And can you actually show us like the layers? Like, what kind of layers goes into that? Is it just, because a lot of people think it's just the arm, like the metal part on top, but that's not the case.
No, you have your basic clothing, which for me, it's a short sleeve linen shirt. Then, of course, the hosen, which is your pants, and boots. But then you have underneath, you'll see right here, this blue. This is a arming jacket, which is more or less a thick, in this case, linen quilt that we put on. That protects us from the armor. It also gives us a little bit of padding. So then you have, once you have your arming jacket on, then you start putting on the actual armor itself. Mm-hmm. With my particular armor, you put your breastplate on. Of course, after you put the legs on. Breastplate on. Because
before bodice.
No, pretty much.
Yeah.
Best thing, the way to describe a breastplate armor is a steel corset for those of us that are in full plate armor. We do have knights and men-at-arms, which are the step down from knights, in transitional armor, which is a combination of steel plates and leather. Mm-hmm. And then, as you see here, then we put our arms on. The next piece that goes on is actually underneath here. It's called a gorget. It's a piece that holds the arms onto the actual outfit, or in this case, our coat of arms. Then you have the shoulder pieces that go on, and those go on by simple buckles. And then the last piece that goes on, typically just before we go into combat, is our helmet, because that will trap all the heat in against us. You asked a little while ago of how do I get ready for a fight? Typically, we drink between 4 to 5 gallons of water before the fight.
Oh my gosh.
Just to stay hydrated. And then when we get out of our armor, which is the big deal with our squires, we drink between another 4 to 5 gallons just to keep us at an even level for hydration.
Now, do your squires help you get into your armor?
Yes, they do. They are a big source of, basically, if without them, we wouldn't be able to put a show on. When you have the corset, our corsets, in this case, the breastplates on, it limits the amount of movement we can do.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you put your arms on, it limits ourselves even more, especially since we have to tie our arms onto our armor, onto our jackets.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's buckles that go here and under the arms that secure everything down so they don't open up and give us what we refer to as armor failure.
That's kind of scary. Yeah, you would not want that happening.
No, especially when you're fighting with steel weapons. Here's two, for example, as you hear. They're not fake. So the weapons we typically fight with longsword and arming sword. Longsword is your typical two-handed long sword. The blade itself is 44 inches long. The arming sword, or the typical short sword that you'd see on a knight when he's walking around, is only 24 to 36 inches long.
Now, how heavy are the swords?
Depends on the sword you're looking at.
Okay.
An arming sword will weigh in just under a half gallon of milk. An arming sword a long sword will weigh in, again, just under a full gallon of milk.
Yeah, and they show people like in movies, they're always like swinging it around like it's nothing. When I feel like I would swing it like twice and then be tired.
When you're properly trained, you can turn around and wield the sword. Well, with my group, for the most part, we'll be able to swing it for between 30 to 35 minutes.
That's still, I mean, that's exhausting. That sounds exhausting. It's a good workout.
That's why when you see us getting out of our armor, a lot of the knights will actually lay down and take a nap after our first bouts.
It's a good idea. With the squires, do you have a specific squire that's like your squire, or is it just they help everybody?
Each individual knight has their own specific squire. Fortunately, I live with mine. Happens to be my wife. Sir Jack Fastoff, it is his wife. But we do have members of our organization that are just squires. So they will come in and help us out if a knight is taking too long getting ready for a demonstration. They'll turn around and jump in and help out. They also will walk our rope line to keep us protected from the crowd and keep the crowd protected from us. So the squires play a multi-role position. They will keep an eye on us when we're in armor doing demonstrations. So if they see something that's loosening up, they'll yell hold. They're basically our field marshals. So they'll control the event, keeping us safe as an individual person. Like I mentioned before, they'll rock the rope lines, making sure the crowds stay back, and they'll yell at us if we get too close to the ropes. The last thing you want to do is have a 240-pound knight that's with full armor falling on somebody.
Yeah, geez, that's scary. So my next question, what got you into armored combat? Why did you decide to do this? How long have you been doing it?
My getting into the armored combat came from, believe it or not, the New Hampshire Renaissance Festival. I was doing the archery range up there. That is actually what I got into it with. I was doing the range, and the commanding officer at the time came over and challenged me to a archery duel. I accepted, and at 45 yards, he missed the target. At 75 yards, I missed the target by that much. And he then offered me a position with the group as an archer. I accepted. A couple of months later, we were doing a fair down in Connecticut, and we ended up having a man-at-arms go home sick. So they put me in his armor and said, okay, have fun. And
were you nervous or were you excited?
I was very nervous.
Yeah.
I was fighting against Lady Dame Bree and Lady Dame, I can't even think of her name now, but I was fighting against the two women of the group. And I was always raised not to hit a young lady. So I poked instead of hit. And every time I did that, they slammed me inside the head or in the breastplate, yelling me to hit them. I got tired of being hit, and well, I was fighting with what they refer to as a pole weapon, either a war hammer or a pole axe, and I hit the young lady hard enough to knock her on the bum. She gets back up and says, "Now that's how you're supposed to hit." And, well, that's how I've been.
That's such a funny story. You're like, well, I got into this by attacking a woman.
Yeah.
They are fierce.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they probably did some damage to you as well during that.
Oh, I had plenty of bruises after that.
I can
But
believe it.
typically, with the group, we take safety as a high priority. So you'll see members of our group recording the fights so they can keep an eye on if something happens and someone gets injured, we know what happened and we can turn around and make the appropriate adjustments for the next event, next show, whatever it may be.
So you have a demonstration that we're showing this Saturday. Is there anything that you want people to know before they watch any of your live shows when they come to see you? Do you have any advice for people?
The main thing that you need to take from seeing us is we're all trained. We know what we're doing. So I would not recommend any patron or anybody watching our demonstrations, either online or in person, to go out and buy a sword and think that they can go out and just do the combat.
Do not do this at home, kids.
Yeah, do not do this at home. We take time to fully train. When we do demonstrations or when we practice slow motion.
Right.
So it's real slow, so everybody knows the techniques to do. And then, and this is out of armor, once we're in armor, then we have to have faith and we have to trust our armor. I mean, to give you a good example, to get the type of damage we can sustain, look at all the dings and dents on that shield. So we turn around and take it one step at a time. Each person goes slow to start, and then we turn around, get in armor, and we have to trust it. So don't go out and buy the stuff you can find on Amazon or on eBay or places like that, because it's not designed to take the type of damage it will sustain in combat. Everything has to be done specifically one way. Mm-hmm. And in our case, everything has to be spring steel. Spring steel does not take the damage as it would normally in a lower grade steel.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody wanted to get in, let's say someone says, okay, I'm not going to do any of that, but I do want to get into this kind of stuff. Like, what do? Do they just go talk to you and talk to a knight?
Talk to us, either at our encampment or we are on Facebook, Knights of Lord Talbot. You'd reach out to us. We turn around and sit down and talk with you, figure out what you want to do, what type of aspect you want to get involved in. And then we ask you to come back during one of our practices outside of festivals to go through a basic, basically what we call parry and strike maneuvers, where plastic swords, you're doing the basic strikes, you're doing the basic parries, you're learning the basic footwork. And if it ends up being something you really want to get involved in, doing the combat-wise, you're more than welcome to continue to work with us and eventually become a full-fledged knight. But there are other roles within our organization that you can more than happy to get involved into. There is, you can become a...
I have my tongue twister challenge that I'm set to do. No, finish what you're saying.
There are other roles that you can be involved in, which would be, you could be one of our archers, which you'd be able to show off what a English longbow would be like. You could do fletching within our organization, which is actually making up your arrows. So
there's all kinds of jobs, not just
of different things that you could be involved in. Mm-hmm. Again, blacksmithing. You could do weaving. You could even be the medic or our doctor. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, they don't actually be a doctor, but they portray a 15th century doctor.
Yeah.
You know, big plague masks and all of those fun.
There's a lot of research that goes into the roles.
Yep.
Very neat. So the thing that distracted you was Marv's tongue twister challenge. Everybody that I have on here, I make them say a tongue twister. I sent it to you just now in the chat. Do your best saying it as quickly as possible.
No.
Do it.
Merlin made mad Madam Mim remember Memories from mastering Milsa Ding Neurology. Yeah. Good luck with that one.
Do you want to try again?
Good luck.
Merlin made mad Madam may remember memories of mastering misleading, melancholy, maddening mirages of marriages.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a tongue twister.
Yeah, so some of the people that I've had on here, they're performers that their whole job is to, talk a lot. Like magicians, that's their thing, is talking and, being able to get people to listen to them so they don't see what their hands are doing. You, on the other hand, are a knight.
Yeah, we're more focused at people want to see what our hands are doing. I mean, we could be doing demonstrations with single-handed longsword and be able to pull daggers. Of course, these daggers are not sharp. We like our people. We like our knights. We want to work with them again. But we got guys that will do demonstrations with, and their whole thing is to let you see what you're doing one hand, and the next one is pulling out a dagger, and you don't see it coming.
Well, thank you for being a good sport on our tongue twister challenge. So can you, now that you've done that, that's what you have to do before you can tell us what you have going on. What do you have? Any events coming up? Anything you can talk about, your websites or anything else?
We are on Facebook with Knights of Lord Talbot. Besides the Massachusetts Renaissance in 2021, we also work with the Fitchburg Blacksmithing Festival. It's the Fitchburg Forging. It's the last Saturday of September every year. We are working with our sister troupe, which is the Ironclad Production. They are a full Renaissance joust troupe, but we do a full demonstration in the heart of Fitchburg. It's open to the public and free. We do have some of our vendors from various other shows there selling. So it's a mini Renaissance festival. That's all that we have currently. We are working at getting more events, but with the whole COVID thing, we're kind of trying to keep it easy and not put too much stress on any particular person in the group.
Yeah. Well, we hope that everything's going to work out for next year because we miss seeing all of you. And, it's been sad not having the Renaissance Fair and, the big community and the families all getting together.
We've been missing it because even with us trying to do demonstrations or practices, with a single practice, you're talking between 5 to 7 people for 3 nights. So we really haven't been able to do much practices either because of the whole COVID-19. So we're looking forward to being able to get back and getting in armor and swinging our steel swords at
your
each other.
knights might have to do some workouts in between.
We each, as a member of the group, we build our own practice pelts.
Okay.
It's a 2x4 with a tire through it. And we're able to swing our swords and work around it, but most of us don't have our own squires at home to help us get out of our armor.
Yeah.
So a lot of the guys, they're physically in shape because they're swinging the swords, but they're not used to the weight again.
Yeah, they're going to have to retrain up again,
Myself included. With my wife being pregnant and all, I really haven't used her to put me in the armor because my kit, as you see here, this is 140 pounds of steel.
Oh, God.
I weigh 140 myself, so 280 in armor. But I wouldn't want to put my wife through the strain of lifting the pieces. Granted, the arms don't weigh that much individually, same with the shoulders. But the helmet is 16 pounds. The breastplate's another 12. The leg armor I can do myself, but again, there's only so much I can do.
Yeah.
So, but that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us and telling us all this information about, these historical pieces and everything that you do at the fair. We hope that we will see you in 2021 and our audiences.
2021.
And everyone's going to get to see you on Saturday.
Yep. On Saturday, you'll see us doing mostly our what we do as a basic training and our opening for the festival. But you'll get a good idea of what we can do. If you look us up on Facebook, Knights of Lord Talbot, you'll see a lot of our actual demonstrations from our shows, both at Mass Renaissance and at the Fitchburg Forging or Fitchburg Blacksmith. You'll see us there doing our demonstrations in full kit. Again, do not try this at home. Professionals, you will get seriously injured if you try to do this without someone knowing what's going on.
All right. Well, on that positive note, thank you so much.
Not a problem.
I can't wait to see all of you again.
Definitely. Looking forward to it, Natalia.
Bye.
Bye. I don't know if she's out here, but this is my little princess, and everybody, because they were all holding their breath because they had the little kid, and yelling, "Please don't hit my daddy! Please don't hit my daddy!"
Oh no.